G'day, Ziggy D here, and today I'm here with a special guest, GoodIdeaGaming, who is a fairly regular Diablo 3 streamer. He does a lot of gear giveaways and set building for different types of wizards, and today, in preparation for Reaper of Souls, he's going to be helping me with building an Archon wizard for a $100 million gold budget. So how are you going, Good idea? Good idea.
I'm doing all right, man. Can't complain.
Yeah, I'm keen to get this going. So, what sort of Archon wizard do you think we can build for a $100 million budget?
I think you should be able to get a pretty good Archon wizard. I'm gonna guess probably between 240 to 270,000 DPS. Probably around 40,000 health, which is usually what I like to build all my Archon wizards. Generally around 37 to 40,000 health, and you're probably looking at like 600 to 700 all resistance. So you're probably gonna have like 10 to 20% more DPS than like a 30 to 40 million budget Archon wizard, which is what I usually build. So I think you should be able to farm MP5, 6, maybe even MP7 without any issues with 100 million Archon wizard. So
yeah,
it should be pretty good.
That sounds pretty sweet. That sounds like stats that'll be pretty efficient at that as well too. Not the can do this MP, but actually it sounds like it'll be pretty efficient at that level. So I'm looking forward to it. Cool. So yeah, I think we're going with Archon, I think, because it'll be the most appropriate build for people that want to get ready and start farming and prepare, like get the Paragon levels happening for Reaper of Souls, and that's the idea, of just leveling up each one of these alts and building a gear set for around 100 million, which is about $2 to $4 worth of gold if you're just coming back into the game and don't have any gold on you. You can do that, and should be pretty viable for most people, I think. So let's jump into it, man. I know some of the basics of building an Archon wizard, but not the specifics. So where do you think we should start? What's the best item to start with?
Well, when I start my wizards, I always literally start from the very top. I always go to helms, and then I get the shoulders and the chest armor, the necklace, and I kind of start from the top, and I literally build down. So I always start with the helmets.
All right, man. So let's go with helmets then. What's the main stats we're looking for? Or are we looking for a specific unique first?
We're definitely looking for a specific unique helmet. If you're building an Archon wizard for a budget Archon wizard, I definitely recommend the Tall Rosh's Guise of Wisdom. So Tall Rosh's, yeah, there it is, first one there.
Badass. So we'll bring these guys up.
Yep. If you have more money to spend on a wizard, it's definitely going to be better to get a Mempo with high crit. But those are going to run you several hundred million by themselves. So getting a Tall Rosh's Guise of Wisdom with with really high int is going to be the best thing to do with a budget wizard. So if you're looking for specific stats, I always look for roughly 240 to 250 or more int, and if you're building a 100 million budget Archon set, you might be able to be a bit more picky, and you might actually be able to get a little bit more VIT as well. So if you can, see, these are pretty cheap. These are only about $1 million gold each. If you want to look for VIT, let's actually see how much they're going to cost. Again, we might need to do a little bit of trial and error, because it's kind of I have to see what you're getting, and then we have to see how much they cost and all that stuff. Man. So
how much VIT do we want to look for, or just bring that up in default VIT?
If you can't get too much VIT on the Tall Rosh's helm, it might be better off to just go with really, really high int. So, I mean, see, these are starting to get really expensive. There's only a couple on the auction house for like 4 million gold.
Yeah,
for 4.5
and they're pretty
million
low
gold.
vitality anyway.
Yeah. So they're really not that great. So
we'll drop VIT.
We might want to just drop VIT. Just go to like 260 int, see if you find anything.
260?
Yeah, see how much they cost.
So we're looking at 1 to 5 million for these ones here.
Yeah, those are about 5 million. So if we're going with a 100 million budget set, what you would want to do is probably spend, maybe 3 to 4 million per piece of gear, and then save like 30 to 40 million or so for your weapon and your offhand. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
If you can find any, what you want to look for is you want to look for ones that may have 5.5 crit on them. So like that one, that's got 5.5 crit. You don't have to get it, but it's just something a little extra. I mean, honestly, any of these Tall Rosh's are going to be okay.
Yep.
But now you're just being really picky about like little things that you could get. Like the one with physical res, physical res is always really, really nice.
Yeah, this one looks okay. It's got strength too for that armor bonus, 10% life, 5.5 crit. Yeah.
Yep.
What do you reckon on that one then? 5 million. The comparable one is looks like there's a strength one around here somewhere, but that's 5.5 with physical. That's probably better actually. Strength, a bit less strength.
Yeah.
38 fizz. That one's much cheaper.
Generally what I do is I always look at the ones that say 1 day, 11 hours left, just because usually those are going to be the best deals. So which one is that right there? Yeah, that one's not too great. The only great thing that has on it is it's got the 5.5 crit.
Yep.
But besides that, I mean, honestly, I think if I were to go for anything, I think that the physical res one is really, really good. 262 int, 38 physical res. It's even got 5.5 crit, 10% life. So that's a pretty solid.
Yeah, I think
that's a pretty solid Tal Rosh's helm to get.
that looks
for sure.
sweet. Let's grab that one. It's easy. We don't have to be too picky with this. I think it gives people an idea of what they're looking for. So then we'll look for next. Yeah.
All right. Yep. Next, again, I always start from the top and I kind of work down. So next, I get the Vile Wards, just shoulders. I always look for Vile Wards. You can get rare shoulders, but usually Vile Wards aren't very expensive. And sometimes I'm just lazy with the set that I build, and they usually have pretty much everything that you're looking for. Really high ints. You can get Vit on them. They've got the all res and the armor, and they're usually not very expensive. So you also don't want to spend a lot of money on your shoulders because you are probably going to get crafted shoulders as an upgrade eventually. So you don't need to get anything amazing. I'd start out looking for like 180 plus int, and maybe just look for Vit as well, because these are going to be really cheap. If you can get some Vit, that's going to be really nice. See, but they get really expensive once you start adding that Vit to them. So you're paying 10 times as much for an extra 50 Vit, which is really, really expensive. So yeah, if you don't want to get Vit, you can always just go with higher int, and we could just get more Vit on the pants. So this is where, again, if I were to be building the set, I'd be changing the stats like crazy. I'd be canceling the Vit. I'd be going to like 240 int and seeing what we can find. And just kind of finding like the perfect shoulders. So 3 million, that's pretty good. Again, I always look at the one day 11-hour ones first. So if we're going with 100 mil, we saved a little bit of money on the helm, so we can actually spend a little bit more money on the shoulders, and we can even spend a little bit more money on some other pieces. So if you're going to get any kind of average stats on them, or sorry, extra stats, you always want to look for percent life, but of course that gets very expensive. Physical resistance, but it doesn't really make that big of a difference. So
yeah, I think any one of these will probably be fine. These
yeah, they're all pretty average. They're all pretty much the same. So for the 3 mil, that's pretty good. That'll do. 240 ints.
Yeah, we'll grab that one. Nice and cheap.
Yeah.
We have to throw a bit more money at the weapon or something.
Yeah, if you want to be really, really picky with what you want to get, you could do a bit more research and spend like 15 to 20 minutes looking at, maybe the perfect Vile Wards. But those ones are going to be good enough. They'll be fine. So
where did that shoulders go that I just bought?
It disappeared. Did you actually buy it? Yeah, it disappeared. It might take a little while to show up.
Damn.
It's a bug with the auction house.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so
they'll show up eventually.
What slot are we going to look at next? The neck?
Okay. I think let's go with the chest armor now.
Chest armor.
Let's go with the chest armor. And again, the specific chest armor that we want to look for, the Tal Rosh's Relentless Pursuit, which is the Tal Rosh's chest armor.
Tal Rosh. And we're looking for Relentless Pursuit. Where are you?
Yep.
There we go.
There it is.
So this was building out our set a bit.
Yeah, what you want to look for, a lot of people make a big mistake on Tal Rosh's, and they get one with really, really low Vit. What you want to look for is one with really high int and really high Vit. So these have gotten a lot more expensive with all the bots that got banned in the last few weeks. So these have actually pretty much doubled or even tripled in price. And what you want to look for is roughly like 170 int and maybe 170 Vit. They might be a little bit too expensive here. Again, we could spend a bit more money. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
That's not too bad at all. And a big mistake that people make is they get a Tal Rosh's with really, really low Vit. And a lot of people don't realize that you can get like 160, 170 plus Vit for just a few million. So you definitely want to get that really high Vit roll in the Tal Rosh's if you can. So
looking around again, 170, 180 int.
Yeah, try to get a 9% attack speed if you can. Again, they're going to be a lot more expensive because people are perfectionists and they want to get the best attack speed that they can. So
there's a good one here. There's a good one here for 7 million, and then
it's one day 11 hours as well, which means that odds are it's going to be a good price. If you see something for like 5 hours left on the auction house, that means people have been looking at it for over a day. Nobody's decided to buy it, so you're probably not going to get a very good price.
All right, well, let's go with this one. It looks pretty good.
All right, that's fine. Yeah, 7 million, can't go wrong with that.
Yeah,
so there you go.
So what's the next slot, man?
All right, so for the next slot, I would probably go with the necklace, and again, I'm gonna get the Tal Rosh's. I believe it's called the Allegiance, which is the necklace.
Allegiance. There we go.
Yeah. Now these are actually a little bit tricky to find because for these ones, what you want to get is you can't afford crit. If you look at crit Talrasha allegiances, I believe they start at like 15 to 20 million gold, which is going to be a bit too expensive for 100 million budget. So there you go, 15 million gold for a crit Talrasha's there. So that's too expensive, so we can't get crit, which means we're going to have to get one with really high int, and we're going to have to get one with some average damage as well. So
nice.
And again, over time you're gonna get a crafted necklace if you want. So you don't have to be super picky. But what I would look for the Talrashas is I would look for let's try like 250 ints, and let's try 30 average damage. And see, these might be a little bit too expensive here.
No, these ones look pretty cheap.
That's not too bad. That's not bad. Again, the VIT is really low on some of these though. What's the second one? That one is
114.
pretty decent.
Yeah.
Pretty decent. The average damage is a little low, but it's got a lot of VIT. It's got a lot of int, which is going to be really important for Archon Wizard. So that's pretty good. Keep an eye on that one before somebody buys it. What's the one for 4 million? That one's okay as well. I'd probably get the 3.5 million between the two. And then there's only one more for 5 million, and besides that, they get too expensive. So we don't really have too many options for these.
Yeah, with the 100 fight, this one looks really good. This 3.5.
So I think I'd get that one there for 3.5 million. That's a really nice one. So there we go.
Sweet.
All right. And let's see, what's the next piece of armor? Let's see. Do you mind going to like the? There we go. I think gloves. Gloves should be next. Yes, and gloves you want to get rare gloves because there's really no legendary gloves or set gloves that you could really use that well on an Archon Wizard. So for my gloves, when I build an Archon Wizard, I want to look for int, crit chance, and crit damage are the 3 stats that I usually like to look for. So and this again, you could do a little bit of experimentation here and kind of figure it out. We could just try like let's try 180 int. Let's try 7 crit chance and 35 crit damage. That's usually where I like to start out here. Let's see what we find. These are probably going to be pretty cheap, 3 million gold. So they've definitely gotten more expensive in the past few days with all the bots being banned. Gloves have gotten very expensive actually. So we only have 2 options before they get to like 8 million gold. We have saved a lot of money on some other pieces of gear though. So if we wanted to, we could actually spend 7 to 8 million on the gloves because we've saved so much on the other gear so far. So again, what you want to find, you just want to find really high ints, really high crit chance, and really high crit damage. So
those ones there are the best out of the 2 8 millions, and then out of the cheaper ones.
Okay. Those are okay.
These are pretty comparable.
That's true. So you've got good gloves for 4.9 million, and then the gloves for 8 million aren't really that much better. So,
yeah, not a big jump.
Yeah, not a very big jump. Let's just look at some of the 9 million, 10 million ones, just see how they are.
So 9 there for 8 with 196. That looks that's bad.
It's not that great. That one's okay, but again, I don't know if I'd really spend 10 million on it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like much of an upgrade over this one here.
It's not really that big of an upgrade. So, you know, the gloves on the auction house right now aren't too great. Occasionally you can find some, so a lot of the thing about building sets is, you know, sometimes you get really lucky and people just put good items on the auction house for a low price. And when you're looking for your Archon gear, you find a really good set of gloves, or you find a really good armor upgrade that's really cheap, and, you know, it really helps your set. But I don't see any gloves on the auction house with like 250 ints. There's really nothing amazing right now. So, you know, you could just get those ones are pretty decent for 4 million. You could get those, but there's really no amazing. There's really no amazing gloves on the auction house right now.
We'll put the gold somewhere else.
Yeah, so there you go. Those will work. Those will work for sure.
All right. So we're looking at braces, perhaps.
Let's see. Let's do the belt next, the Witching Hour, and of course that's really the only belt you really could get for an Archon Wizard, is the Witching Hour. So we're looking for int. Yeah, these have gotten really expensive, by the way. These used to be a lot cheaper, and if you could see, the cheapest one on the auction house is 5 million gold, and that's just the cheapest one. So what you want to look for on the Witching Hour is you want to look for high int, and you want to look for high attack speed, so 9% attack speed if you can, although it's not the biggest deal if you don't get one, and then high crit damage as well. So try plugging in like 140 int and see what you get.
All right, man. So look at 7 to 9 million for these two here.
Yeah, and we're gonna spend a bit of money on the witching hour probably.
Yep.
The first one was okay. It was definitely not bad. A 944 for one with 147 int for 7.5 mil. That's not too bad. Just for comparison, let's see if we can get a little bit of VIT on the witching hours. Let's go to like 120 ints and then put VIT, because of course we couldn't afford 140. So how much are these? 9 mil.
Here.
9 mil. That's a really good one. Buy that one right now. That's really
Badass.
good.
I like it.
That's really good. That's really good. Yeah, someone was gonna buy that if you didn't buy that. That was excellent. So what did I have? That had int, it had VIT, it had physical res on it, had 9% attack speed, and it had really, really nice crit damage as well. So that was a really, really good witching hour.
So I just want to say, Good Idea really knows his way around the auction house, and that becomes evident when you can recognize that sort of thing straight away there. And you can see the 48% crit damage, that's close to max roll, and the high vitality and intelligence combined with physical resistance as well. Yeah, that is nice, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really good. For 9 mil, that's not bad at all. So we see again, I was mentioning this just a little while ago, occasionally you find people who put stuff on the auction house and you just come across an item and you see, oh wow, that's really, really good. I'm getting that right now. So far that's really the only item slot that we've seen that for is for the witching hour. Sometimes I'll build sets and I'll have like 4 or 5 item slots where I'll come across an item and it'll be really, really good for the price, and it'll be like, wow, I'm gonna get that right now. So we just had that happen for the belt, which is always
snag.
nice.
Yep, nice snag. Cool.
All right.
So
now let's look for the bracers. Let's look for the bracers here. We'll get Lacuni Prowlers. Now these can be a little bit tricky to buy.
Yep.
These can definitely be a bit tricky. So let's look for the Lacunis here.
So we're going for int.
No, actually,
no?
What we want to get is high crit chance. Int is really, really expensive, but we need to get crit chance on the Lacunis. So try like 5.5 crit and see what you come across. Alright, let's see what we have. Alright, see, these are pretty expensive. If you can get a 9% attack speed one, now you can try looking for ints a little bit, but it's going to be very, very expensive.
Yeah, we'll just plug in that.
You'll see it'll probably shoot up to 10, 20 million. There you go, 10 million. So if you put int on your Lacunis, it's going to be very, very expensive. Yep. You know, it's nice because it gives you a bit of DPS. That one is not bad. The one that you're looking at right now for 10 mil. It's not great, but it's definitely not too bad. 8% attack speed, 5.5 crit. With 80 ints, which is going to give you a bit more DPS. Just for comparison, try lowering it to 5 crit and see if you find anything.
So it brings us down to 8.6.
Yeah, that's not really, and that's got a lot less int on it. Yeah, see, these have really, really low ints. Honestly, if I were you, I'd probably get the 80 ints with 8 attack speed and 5.5 crit.
This one here, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit expensive. It's true. We saved a bit of money on our helm and on our Vile Wards and all that stuff, so we can afford to spend a little bit more. There's really not going to be anything much better on the auction house for less than that. And again, the 80 int is really going to help your DPS a lot. So.
Yep. How important is attack speed in an Archon build?
Attack speed gives you more DPS. It's not like for critical mass where you need a certain a break point.
There's no break
but
points.
It will give you more DPS. So attack speed's good, but it's not as important as crit chance or crit damage. Okay. So that's why if you put attack speed on your gloves, it's gonna get really, really expensive.
Yeah.
But it's always nice to have it. It's gonna give you more DPS, but it's not like critical mass where you need to have a certain amount of attack speed. So.
All right, man, that looks good. So we're looking at like rings or pants or something now.
Yes, we're looking at rings now. So we're looking at rings. Now what we need to get a Zunimas's Pox. So we need to get a Zunimas's Pox right now. And these, again, have gone up in price a little bit. They're still not too bad for the cheapest ones. What you want to look for on the Zuni Pox is you want to look for really high int. So let's try looking at like 140 plus int. Let's see how much they cost. Yeah, 1.3 million. That's good. Keep an eye open for that because that has a socket as well. So that's an extra 40 int. Yeah. So keep an eye open for that one right there. The only thing that could really make it better is all resistance. Not all resistance. Sorry. Average damage would make it a lot better, but that's going to be really, really expensive. For 1.4 million, I'd buy that right now. That's really good.
Sounds good. Yeah, that's really cheap.
Yeah. For 1.4 million, that's like 180 ints, which is really, really good. So that's a very, very nice Zuni ring right there.
Good stuff. What about for the other slot?
For the other slot, you just want to look for a rare ring. This is what I usually get from my Archon wizards. And what you want to look for is you want to look for ints. You want to look for crit chance and crit damage. And sometimes I look for vit, sometimes I don't. It depends on what kind of pants we get. So let's just look at int right now. Let's look at like 125 int. Let's look at 4% crit chance and 35 crit damage. Let's see what we have. These probably won't be too expensive. Oh, they are expensive. Wow, 5 million for those. That's very pricey. So that's a decent ring, but again, 37 vit isn't really high enough.
Yeah.
So if there's no amazing int rings on the auction house, which it doesn't look like there really are, what I would do is I would look for some vit rings now. So maybe lower the ints to like 75 and maybe add vit to like 50 on it and see if we can come across anything. So these might be a little cheaper.
Yeah, I feel like we've missed a bit of
oh,
vitality in a few songs. Yeah, that's good.
That's got a socket as well. So let's see. Keep an eye open for that one before somebody buys it. That one's not. That one's okay. Again, it's got more crit damage on it, but a lot less int. It does have a bit more vit on it. And what's the 6 million one? Yeah, that one's no good. That one's okay, but not great. Honestly, I'd get that 2.25 million one because it had that socket on it.
It seems comparable to all these much more expensive ones.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
So that's a really, really nice one for 2.25 million. So we got our rings, and let's see. Now we need the pants. Now the pants are really important because this is where the majority of your health is going to come from. Because if you've noticed so far, we've got very, very low vitality on our gear. But pants can have like 250 or so vitality, so it's very, very important to get high vit on these pants right here. That's what's going to bring you up to close to 40,000 health. So what you want to look for is you want to look for let's see, you want to look for, let's go to int. These are just rare pants, by the way.
Okay,
so,
just rare.
Yeah.
Let's
go to int. So plug in int, vit, all resistance, and sockets.
Oops. All resist. And some sockets.
Yeah,
looking for two sockets.
Yep, I plug in 50 all res. And let's see, let's try 170 vit and 120 ints. And let's just see what we have here. Let's see. Yes, so these are pretty expensive. Now, pants are very hard to find because you'll find some good pants and you'll find some bad pants. So what you want to get is you want to get really, really high vit. So I would even look at the ones for 10 million, maybe even 11 million if you can.
Should we up the vitality a little bit to shorten the list?
You can up vitality a little bit. You could try going to 190 or so. Maybe filter things out a little bit. So here's another item where I would really mess around with the stats a lot. I would up the int a lot. I would lower the vit, or just change the stats around until I found the perfect pants.
So like again, 220 there.
Keep in mind, those only have 50 all res though, so the difference between 50 all res and 77 is pretty significant. So, what were the ones at the very top? Were those any good? Let's see, 136. Those were really low all res. Those aren't too amazing. So second ones, the 220 vit ones. Where were those? Were those the third ones?
Yep.
Yeah, 50 all res though, and really low ints. Again, 50. Like those ones are okay for 15 mil. The int is a little low. The vit is really, really high though, and these start getting really, really expensive. So pants can be very tough to find. If there's no good deals on pants, they can be very, very tough to find. So what was the 77 all res one again? Or was that, I know there was it 77 all res? Yeah, there it is. I think those are going to be your best bet, honestly. 147 int, 196 vit, 77 all res.
So we're trading off a little bit of vitality there, but for a big chunk of extra all resistance. Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice.
So those are pretty good. Lots of vit, lots of ints, and again, the really, really, really high, vit is really important for these pants because we don't have much vit on other gear. So those are going to be really, really good for this build.
We'll
bit pricey, but
yeah, that's all right.
What can you do? All right. And let's see, what else do we need now? We got the pants, we need the boots, then the weapon, and the offhand. So the boots, you want to get the Zuni boots, Zuni Moss's.
Trail?
Yes, Zuni Moss's Trail, there you go.
And
yeah, you don't want to get those ones. They're going to have really low int, really low vit. What you want to look for is really high int on these, and maybe really high VIT as well. So let's try like 170 int, and let's try like 120 VIT. Let's see what we get. How expensive are these going to be?
There's one there for 1 mil.
I buy it.
Buy it.
Yeah, buy it.
Another insta snag.
Yeah, even if you didn't use it for the build, you could resell that for 10 mil right now. So there you go. You made 10 million gold while building your set.
Nice,
so,
man, nice.
Yeah, you see, it was 1 day, 12 hours, so that just came up on the auction house right there. That
and
was
the next
really,
ones
really
were like
good.
14 mil, so it's pretty obvious, that one.
Yeah, exactly. There you go, man.
Nice,
yeah,
man.
they even had. Did they have 8%, by the way? Were those 8%?
Yep. 8%.
And what was it? 170 int, 170 vit. So go back to boots and type in like 165 int and 165 vit. You can see how much those are worth. And oh, look at that! Look at for 8% ones. Keep scrolling down. Go down.
There we go.
Try to find an 8. There we go. 8% for those right there. So your boots that you just bought for 1 million are worth like 30 million gold. So
okay, so maybe I'm actually thinking that we should probably get some other ones for the set, since they were not really. They were a bit of an outlier, those ones.
Well, actually, they're really good for the set. So honestly, I would use them, because you're not going to find anything really better for that.
All right, but for comparison's sake, we should say around 10 million, maybe, looking at if you can't happen to find a snag like that.
Yeah, if you're going to price those boots, same with the belts, too. You ran into the same situation. You got a really nice belt for 9 million. It was probably worth like 15 to 20 million, honestly.
Yeah.
And the boots, you got a really nice boots that were worth, 15, 20, 25 million, but you got them for 1 million. So when you build a lot of sets, you'd actually be really surprised. You're going to run into these situations a lot more than you think. So you're going to save a lot of money building your set just by getting some really, really good deals.
Yeah. So if you can take a bit of time to build your set as well and check out some bids and stuff as well, you're obviously going to get better results than what we're getting here. We're trying to do this pretty quickly.
Exactly. So we got our boots. Now we need the offhand. So for the offhand, you want to get a tri-source, triumvirate. Don't even know how you pronounce it.
There we go.
There you go. And what you want to filter by, because if you don't filter it, it won't actually show you the damage. You want to just filter by average damage. Average damage, okay. Yes, and actually at this point, what I would do is I would take a look at how much we've spent on the gear set so far. So I haven't been keeping. We have about 43 million left. 43 million left. So I would probably spend like 10 million on the tri-source maybe. So go to max buyout, put 10 million gold. There you go, and filter it by average damage. Just click on that. Nice. There you go. Let's see what we can find here. So what you're looking for, any tri-source is going to be good for an Archon wizard. It's really easy to find a tri-source, because mostly what you want to get is just a high average damage one. If you can get an 8.5% crit one, that's going to be great. But if you can't, that's not a big deal. So I just look at them, see if there's any that have like 6.66% damage. That's a pretty good one there, because I had 8.5 crit. It was a 6.55. Higher int on that as well, which is really, really nice. Yeah. A bit expensive, but we have a lot of money to spend on this on the weapon and the offhand, so we should be pretty good. Would it be worth taking a slightly cheaper one here to spend a little bit more on the weapon, or worth just spending a little bit more on this one and going 30 million for the weapon? Well, I mean, the difference between a 30 million weapon and a 35 million weapon isn't going to be very big, so you might as well just get that, a decent tri-source right there. Like, I think this one's good. Plus side, it's good. Is there any other 8.5 crit ones that are any cheaper that have similar average damage? There's another one right there, 8.5 million. That's about the exact same thing. It's got 2 less average damage, so that's got a little bit of strength on it, which is a little bit of armor. I mean, they're all going to be pretty similar. That's a pretty good one as well. So tri-sources, it doesn't really matter which one you get. They're all going to be almost exactly the same. All right, so that looks good then. Yeah, nice. Yeah, 8.5 million. All right, man. So finally, the weapon. What are we looking for? We've got a 30 million budget on the weapon. Yeah, the weapon's the most, I guess, the most complicated thing, and probably something that a lot of people get wrong, because what you want to get for an Archon wizard is you want to get a black damage weapon. Yep. Which means it has to have minimum damage and maximum damage. It can't have any type of arcane damage or fire damage, cold damage, any of that type of damage. It has to be a physical weapon. And what you want to look for when I'm building a budget set is I just look for has sockets, so just a socket, and life seal as well. Because if you're playing an Archon wizard, Lifesteal is always really, really nice, especially against reflect damage. You're going to be using Blood Magic weapon, which gives you 1.5% lifesteal, but that's not going to be enough to kill reflect damage, and if you get yourself in trouble, you might die pretty quickly. So extra lifesteal is always good on a starter Archon set. If you get to a certain point where you have tons of DPS, you spent a lot of money on your gear, and you don't really need to kill reflect damage champion packs, you could skip the lifesteal on your weapon and just go with more DPS or more crit damage. But for a starter budget Archon set, I'd probably go with the lifesteal for sure.
Nice, yeah, cool.
So, let's see. That's it. That's all you got to do. Just filter, and let's just look at the top DPS weapons. Let's see what we have. 1199. Let's see. That's an axe. I would not get an axe. I would get a 1.4 attacks per second weapon. So I would get a wand or a sword. So.
Should we filter by those weapon types, do you think, or just look this way?
You could just sort through. That's a decent one right there. 9 million. See, these are really cheap. You know, it's really.
Yeah.
You might even save some money on this gear set. It's really tough to find a weapon for the price you're looking for. So that's decent. What about that one right there? That's got a little less lifesteal. That's not too bad though. They're all pretty decent, and let's look at the price.
The price, yeah.
Yeah, twice the price. And the one that was more expensive wasn't even any good. So maybe go to the second page. What you want to look for is if you could find int on it, that's great. But you're gonna notice that int is gonna be really expensive.
Yeah. Do you think it's worth plugging int in to see?
You could try, but if it's gonna be more than like a 70 DPS loss or something like that, it probably isn't worth it.
Okay, so looks.
Sometimes you get. Let's look at the sword. 1109. See, that's a spear. We don't want to use a spear. 98 ints. That's not really that great because you lose 70 DPS for 100 int.
Yeah.
So you're probably gonna have to be better luck using the wands there. So.
So this one is looking pretty promising as well. It's really cheap too.
That's pretty promising. 1163 physical wand. It's got the lifesteal on it. It's got the socket. It's only 9 million gold, which is great. So we could go ahead and get that one. You should be good. And after that, we need the gems. So
right.
Gems.
Well, there you go. We've got a bit of extra money for the gems now. We've got 20 million to throw towards the gems.
20 million for the gems. Nice. So keep in mind that normally you'd need 5 int gems, 3 for the chest armor and 2 for the pants. But we also, I believe, we got 2 pieces of gear that needed extra sockets.
Yeah. So we've got the helmet. We've got 3 from the chest. What else do we have? 1 from the weapon, obviously.
Yeah.
What else do we have?
We need 1 emerald. We need 1 emerald for the weapon. We need 1. Let's see. Do you want to get extra life, or is this going to be an experience farming gear set, or do you just want to get extra life? Because normally I use rubies for the helmets for extra experience.
Yeah, I think we're mostly looking for paragon farming.
Okay, so yeah, then use a ruby for the helmet. I know. Let's see. Check the. I think the Zuni Pox had 1 socket on it as well, and then there was one other piece of gear.
It might have been the one that went missing. One of them went missing.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're missing a piece of gear. Oh, that's not. Oh, there it is. Isn't it the Tal Rashas that was missing? The
might
necklace.
have been, yeah. Okay, so we've got the helmet, chest. Yeah, it looks like we've got everything actually.
So
it was just the socket on the box then.
Socket. Oh, the other ring. Check the other ring as well.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. 2 extra sockets there. So what we want to get is 7 topazes, 1 emerald, and 1 ruby. So you have 20 million to spend. Definitely spend the most on the ruby because that's going to be your crit gem.
All right, we'll start off with that then.
Start off with the ruby.
Sorry, do you mean emerald for crit or ruby for average damage?
Sorry, the emeralds. That's what I meant for crit.
So what quality are we looking at?
How much are stars? Oh, that's too cheap. Maybe the flawless star. 3 million. So if we spend 3 million on that,
we've got 20 million to throw at gems.
We got 20 million to throw at gems. So what you could do is you could get the what's the one after? How much does it cost? 10 million.
We've actually got about 30 million actually.
Okay, I'd get that one honestly. 10 million gold for 90 crit. That's gonna give you a lot of DPS. We have a lot of money to spend on the gems, so might as well. And then let's get the ruby now. And you don't have to get as expensive as a ruby.
Yeah,
you
so
can
we
get
can
a
go
little
like
bit
a
cheaper. It's just a couple of % of experience, so you can get that one. That's fine. And then let's see, that was 13 mil. And then we need 7 topazes. So I don't know if we can afford 7 of these.
7 stars. Let's look at that.
7 stars, 5 mil. That's about. what is that, 15 mil for gyms, so this will be about a 90 million set. Is that going to be okay?
Yeah, I don't think we can bump it up to the next one. I think that'll be way too much.
What is that, 15 mil? That'll be 15, 25. That'll be 30 mil for the gyms total.
Actually, that's right, because the amount that I have spare to build this 100 million set is about 30 mil, so we could actually probably go those ones.
Sure, you can get those. That's fine. I mean, if you have more money, you can always spend more money on gyms. If you have less money, you can spend less money.
Yeah, we're keeping it loosely around 100 mil, and that's pretty much spot on for 100 mil as well, all told, all calculated up. So that's pretty. Okay. That looks pretty nice. What do you think overall, looking back at that?
I think it looks pretty good. It looks like a very nice gear set. Definitely better than the gear sets that I build for 30 mil or so. I think the biggest difference that I probably see from like a 30 million gear set is, first of all, the Lacunis had int on them. Most Lacunis that I get don't have int because it's usually very expensive. So the Zuni Pox, we got a really, really good Zuni Pox because of the socket. That was great. That's an extra 40 int on that. And then, of course, we got a really good deal on the Zuni boots as well. The weakest piece of gear, I would say, is probably the gloves. The gloves were good, but definitely not the best deal that you could get for a set of gloves. I mean, what did they have? Like 100 something? They had like 198. There they are. 199 int, 38 crit damage, 8.5 crit. They're okay, but if you found a really, really nice item on the auction house, you could probably get a bit better gloves for like 5 to 10 million. But they're still pretty good. So
yeah, both gloves and shoulders you can throw some crafting at as you start farming as well. So I just want you to pimp out your Twitch, and I think do you have a YouTube as well? I think you have a YouTube as well.
I do. I don't have many videos up, but I do.
Okay. So what's your Twitch channel for people that want to come check you out? I highly recommend it.
My Twitch is twitch.tv/GoodIdeaGaming. So I pretty much exclusively stream Diablo, and I have a YouTube as well. It's youtube.com/GoodIdeaGaming. Sometimes I just post some highlight videos there. It's not very active, but I'm hoping to make it a little bit more active as time goes on. So
yeah, and on the streams, people can expect to see plenty of giveaways and set buildings and things like that.
Yep. What I mostly do right now is I mostly do set builds. I usually do budget set builds, so like 20, 30 million. Occasionally, I'll do a high budget set build, and we'll also do giveaways, unidentified gambling because I'm addicted to gambling, and farming and all that stuff. So
nice, man. Well, that was really fun. Thanks for coming on the show.
All right. No problem. Have fun with your Archon set.
Cheers.